Welcome back. You're watching HFO-TV. HFO-TV is co-sponsored by J.R. Johnson LLC, specialists in multifamily restoration and repair work. Gantry Incorporated, the nation's largest independent mortgage banking firm. Butler Exchange Group, offering 1031 tax-free exchange services. And Forensic Building Consultants, experts in the diagnosis, repair, and preservation of multifamily assets.
Welcome back to HFO TV. I'm Greg Frick, partner at HFO Investment Real Estate. And today we're lucky to have with us Roy Kim, the partner at Central Bethany Development. Thank you, Roy. For people that don't know, Central Bethany is a 180-acre development west of downtown, kind of north of Highway 26. You've been involved, 30 years now in that project?
30 years.
It's a long time to be doing development in Oregon.
That is true. Yeah. That is true.
So maybe tell us, people, a little bit of a background of how you got involved with, because that was one of the first kind of outside of the city, large kind of master plan developments, within the region, if I remember. So, with mixed use, it wasn't just housing. It had all different kinds of types of use in there. Maybe give people the background on that development and how it got to, where it is today.
Well, to start with, I'm a civil engineer by background.
Right.
So I studied civil engineering, basically got hooked on construction, so worked in the construction field for a construction company for about several years. And then came up here in 1991. This actually 130 acres was actually owned by my father, who had bought it in 78. And he bought it as an investment and tried to sell it. For whatever reason, the sale didn't go through, and I was fortunate enough to be given the opportunity to come up here and develop it.
And when back then, there wasn't the urban growth boundary when he bought it. It was pre that, right?
It was very interesting. He bought it in 78. Okay. Urban growth boundary was drawn in 79.
Oh, wow, okay.
And the community plan was adopted in 81.
Okay.
That decision was appealed because it was considered prime farmland.
Right.
And that appeal went until 86. So 86 is when it first became available to develop. Even back then, it took
that long to go through now.
Even just to do anything.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So then you kind of took that, looked at it and took it. How, from a developer, did you kind of have an idea what you wanted to do? How did that formulate with it's not like you're just doing a 10,000 square foot or 20,000 square foot lot and we're going to go build a 5-over-1 apartment building. With something like that, how do you get your, sight and the vision to kind of plan what it's going to be? Because with these big developments, you're planning 5, 10, 20 years out in ahead as to where we think the market needs to be.
Right. Well, the property had multiple zoning, retail as well as housing, and higher density. So we knew we had the ability to master plan the whole site. So I brought in actually a town planner or master plan people, and so we laid out the whole site. And we kind of overlaid that with our plan on the sequence and how we would go about doing that. So we just laid out the whole 130 acres.
Wow.
We took about 40 acres and 30 acres or so and turned that into a subdivision and did the subdivision development while we're getting approval, because it took 4 years to get
the other approvals.
Yeah, and I didn't want to wait for 4 years not have anything going. So we sold the lots. And we just methodically, one after the other, went about doing the development. So we started with South Park and 150-unit apartment in 1996, and then went from there. 1999, we built another 120-unit apartment, and then shopping center opened in 1998.
Okay.
And then the office building started in 1999 and went on until 2005. And then one after the other. And they were designed, master plan designed so that they'll be integrated, so one's not turning its back on the other. They're complementary. As an example, the first apartment had a larger square footage and the second apartment had a smaller square footage.
Okay.
And then once... So it had a plan to be integrated and have as many different things as possible, from the office to
the retail to kind of all support each other.
Right. And then we built, and like having a larger apartment and a smaller apartment, we also had townhouses, we had condos, and single-family homes at the beginning, so that will have a range of price points.
Okay.
Again, now we're all talking about having diversity. We also, even today, we think about having diversity of product and diversity of price ranges for apartments.
And you were thinking about that,
Yeah.
30, 40, 30 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
So those can only be done if you have large enough
Right.
opportunity to do that. And then after that, we continue to build apartments because that's an important part of any master plan community, to have density in housing. And then we built the Main Street out, and then we did an athletic club in 2005, and we did a senior housing in 2009, and we have one parcel left now.
One left?
Yeah.
What's the plan for that one?
It's typical. We have a 4-acre parcel left. It's a commercial parcel.
Okay.
We'll do ground floor commercial, and we'll build apartments above that.
Okay.
Yeah, and which is kind of the pattern that we've been going
Right.
now to do the mixed use.
So when you started, back then in the 90s, I remember when this came, there was pushback about the density. That you got, the amount of density, and people, I think, were used to, lower density. As you said, you have to have a vision going forward and having some of the mixed different uses and different qualities of the house sizes from smaller units to bigger units. What kind of pushback, or how did you kind of sell that vision to as people were, pushing back on the master plan?
So this is Washington County, unincorporated Washington County, and we had some planners who were excited about density,
Right.
but they didn't think we would do it because they didn't think it would pencil. The first project we did in South Park is a 2-story walk-up,
Right.
because that's what was being done, and that's what the market was accepting out there. What we built the latest one is West Park that we built 5 years ago now, and that is a ground floor commercial with 4 stories above that. That is elevators or
Right, like a 5/1 podium
right.
style. Right.
Right. So you're basically limited to, the trend of that time. You can't really be too far ahead of the trend, obviously.
Right.
You can't rent them, and you can't get the rents. So when projects take that long, you go through these
Phases.
yeah,
Yes.
and you end up doing different product later than before, yeah.
Any looking at that, not that we have a bunch of 180-acre sites within. Is the key to integrate the I've always wondered, when you're doing these master plans, if you do all the residential first without the retail, it's harder to move the residential, and then how do you blend those in at the same time, or do you kind of phase in? It sounds like you did the single family, plotted those out, had those in, so you got some momentum, and then kind of mix it in as you go forward from there.
That's correct. The real risk is that commercial gets built too early.
Right.
So
There's not enough support there.
Right. So we try to wait as much as possible. But that Bethany area grew very quickly in the 90s.
Yeah.
So as Intel expanded and Nike started to expand.
No, you're Columbia out there. You've got just
Columbia, right.
so everybody's out there now.
Yeah. So we were fortunate that the residential area around this site was really growing fast.
To help support the retail.
Correct.
Right. So now this is not the only place you've gone from there to other developments.
Right.
We know you're doing one in Rockwood and out in East County in Portland.
Right.
Maybe that's a public-private partnership.
That's correct. So before Rockwood, we did a project called La Scala down in Beaverton.
Right.
And that was in an area that was distressed. There was a adult business right across the street, and
Okay.
the city ended up condemning the little house that was there, and put a block together, and then turned it over to developers. And and all the developers that responded to that were affordable housing developers.
Okay.
Well, we get a call from an affordable housing developer who said, I got an idea. Why don't we take south half and you take north half, and we'll show everybody that we can coexist. So, and then we'll have higher density, which will give us more chance of getting the job.
Right.
So we got the job. It was a ground lease from the city of Beaverton.
So the city did a ground lease for the site. You
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
So south half is 44 units of income restricted development, and north half is 44 units of our. So we ended up doing commercial on the ground floor with 4 stories above that.
Okay.
And it basically changed the neighborhood completely. And now it's become a catalyst, and
For the rest of what's downtown,
yeah. So we did that, and that was our experience doing a project with the city, getting a list of what the city wanted out of the property, basically density,
Okay.
and ground floor commercial, which we accommodated. And then we went to Gresham.
With the same concept of a public-private partnership with the city and a nonprofit, or how did that one come about?
That one, there was a 5.5 acre parcel right on Max Line at Rockwood,
Right.
that the city owned, or Urban Renewal District owned. And they went soliciting for a developer, and we were fortunately selected. So, and then after that, it was basically a partnership.
Okay.
And the city had a list of things that they wanted. There was a heavy community engagement where we went out, and for a year we went to all kinds of events, did evening events, and got their input, which was very important in that case.
Okay.
It's very low income area,
Right.
one of the lowest car ownerships, food desert, on and on. So we had a list of things that the city wanted to do and the community wanted to see there on the site. So it was all in a partnership. Yeah, so it was
Okay.
very interesting. And we ended up with a product that's different than what would otherwise be. I think originally it was going to be, and the city envisioned, a food hall, food market, and a few buildings that would accommodate some organizations that would train the community.
Okay, some service organizations.
Right.
Okay.
And it ended up being a much higher density, and we asked for a housing component to that. So what we've built eventually is one building that has an organization called Oregon Tradeswoman, which is a training.
Right.
So the idea is that instead of providing social services, it would actually provide training, so everybody will actually have a job, and it will be commercial as opposed to social services.
Okay, so not just, got it, okay.
Right. And then we have an office building, straight office building, that has a community college, a state of Oregon unemployment agency, and on the ground floor we have a restaurant and a daycare. All these are very important to
Right.
making all this whole thing work. So we're able to make all these integrate and work together. The third building that we just got TCO on is a market hall. That was structured as a nonprofit, and we're contracted to build it, develop it, build it, and manage it
For the
this
nonprofit. Okay.
Right? And then the fourth building is a residential building, 4/1, and the city required for 20% to be affordable to 80% AMI.
Okay.
So we're breaking ground on that probably in a couple of months.
Congratulations. So what's
Yeah.
been the experience in doing these private-public partnerships versus just, going out on your own and doing, something it's, from a developer standpoint, probably more hoops to jump through and more things, but, tell me kind of a little bit about that.
Right. Because it's public-private partnership, you end up with a property that is very well located, typically.
Right.
Right on Max Line, 5 acres of just dirt that you can manipulate and put different buildings on. And again, this one as well, we got a ground lease, long-term ground lease.
Okay.
So we didn't have to pay for it up front. So for that, on the other side, it takes a long time. You have to change the program to fit what the city and the community needs. The community engagement is a big part.
Okay.
So it's just time-consuming, not just length of time that it takes, but the time that you have to invest. We have to have our staff and myself go to a lot more meetings. And then obviously some programs are affected as well because like the requirement to have some of them be affordable to, and also because it's in a low-income area, our rents did not justify rent. We couldn't get the rent.
Rents to justify the construction costs.
Right, construction costs.
Right.
So this particular one, we have heavy investment from the Urban Renewal District.
Gotcha. Okay.
To make it work. So in all, you end up having a very big impact to this community that would otherwise not have this project. And we feel great about changing a community. Again, this makes more sense because we're going to hold it in the long run.
Right.
But if you hold it in the long run, you create a value that is, it's just like in development, even public sector has these ideas of how this neighborhood and community can change. But we in the real estate industry are the ones who are able to have it realized.
Be the catalyst to get it going.
Right. And actually get it built, get it financing, convince the lenders, and have a product that works for everybody, and have it work financially, can get it financed, and can get it built, and can get it and operate it the way it should be operated.
And I know a lot of the municipalities and the cities are talking about, more housing. And do you think, in your experience in dealing with these different, are they understanding because I think there's a perception, I know within some that, developers are they come in and build something and there's, they're just making all this money. And do you think in doing this, are they understanding kind of the risks, the issues of trying to do development? This is not something everybody's doing. There's a reason why it's, called development. It's risky. And so do you think there's an understanding that there's a lot of hoops to go through to bring housing in these, even underserved places, and that there needs to be more assistance, or even, take them of the barriers away to allow developers to come and get more density, more housing in certain markets?
So several years ago, I was asked to be in a group of real estate professionals and talk with the city. And city wanted to ask a question: how do we get developers to come into our city and get more developed? Because we need development in our city. And I said, the city should help a developer make as much money as possible. And they all laughed. They all laughed and said, "No, I'm serious. It's city owns this number of parcels. The school district owns parcels. Park district, somehow, city can get a control and turn it over and help developer make as much money as possible. Because if you're so concerned that you don't want developer to make money because there's perception of doing that, developer will not make money or make so little money that it's not worth it, and the next project won't happen. You will have developers saying, I don't want to go to that city and work together with that city because I'm not going to make that much money because the city has so much ideas,
right.
But if you have a developer who makes a lot of money on your project, you'll have developers lined up to work in your city. So that's the attitude the city needs to have, to assist, help. I mean, I've talked to some cities, in a different state, and you go into a city and say, there's an opportunity with the property, and I'm thinking about coming and doing something. And the city staff will come in, and their attitude is, we'll be your partner. How can we partner with you? We have things we want, you have things you want. Can we talk about that? And that's the before I even go into buy the property, and I showed interest. And that's how public and private should work together, because it's challenging enough for both sides.
Right.
But I think into the future as well, that's the formula, that there is a communication up front, and there's understanding that it's a partnership, and both need to help each other, and both will get
the benefits for the whole. Now, in your experience, are you sensing that maybe is changing a little bit here in terms of the attitude, kind of being more, I guess, inviting for business, or are we still, kind of fighting that, locally here?
I have not yet done a project in the city of Portland.
Right.
And I have had some what I consider to be very, very good opportunities that I've turned down. And I'm working on the surrounding cities. And even as I look at opportunities, what I consider to be probably one of the most important criteria for me to decide to do this project or not is how, maybe a reputation, but also how I feel about the staff in the city. I think some cities I've seen the outside of Portland that are knowledgeable about that, and they would
are willing to work with you, and to foster the development for the benefit of.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is why we're seeing, interesting things happen in places like Astoria, Salem, and Eugene area, or other areas outside Vancouver.
Right.
Because it's a partnership that needs to work. But I think some cities are getting there, but it's got ways to go.
Yeah. And are you looking at other sites or other places outside the market, outside of Portland or outside of the metropolitan area? Would you go to another state? We've heard a lot about Boise, and we've heard about, Austin's been around, Salt Lake. I mean, are you looking at other places or more geographically focused?
My experience is I want to stay somewhere that I can drive to.
Okay.
I've not had good experience in areas that are outside of that. That's probably just because maybe I just want to be able to drive there more quickly. But also, there's this thing about, this is where I live. This is where my kids grew up. This is where my kids live. And I want them to live in a cool place.
Right.
Even if I may get, and I've had people say, you need to go to Colorado. I mean, that's where the opportunities are. And I want to better my community. And I think a lot of us feel that way.
Right.
And even if you make less money, you want to do something in your community.
I mean, there's a reason why you came here originally, and there's a reason why people have come, and I think there's a sense of how do you get that back? Not that it's going to change overnight, but get that back to better the community, have people working together. I think that's the big thing, I think, in our world that we've seen on the real estate side is that there's not a natural there's a sense where they've made a kind of a competition or opposite sides. At the end of the day, we're all together. We all live here. Let's try to make it better, kind of a win-win for everybody. Right. We've said some of the regulations that they put through from a property owner and a tenant, it's kind of weaponized that relationship where we want people to have a nice place to live and a good place to live. Where that's it's interesting how that it's kind of changed in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, and we've talked about how we first met, 25 years ago or something. I mean, there's not too many in life, you don't have relationships that go 25 years other than family, or if you've been in one place and you're committed to the community. And yet these things happen. This is the cool thing about where we live here, where, these interactions are not just transactional. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. It's a small community. We all love our community. We're trying to all better our community, and we run into each other all the time.
Right.
It's a meeting of minds, and all these things are very, valuable in my mind.
So looking forward, are you feeling confident that this is changing and that we're heading in the right direction? I know we still have work to do, but I mean, I know you're still willing to put the energy in to try and push it forward.
Yeah, in a way, I have no other choice. Yeah. I'm just gonna, I just love this community, and we're going to Camas Washougal.
Okay.
And the same type of thing. We're there's a 20-acre waterfront site that we're in the early stages of and master plan stages of, and again, the relationship that we have with small communities and the opportunity to change and impact the community
for generations. These are huge.
Right,
yes,
right.
yes.
I mean, it's not. It's different now in that this whole Portland metro is a mix of a lot of different communities that all benefit from everybody being successful.
Right.
Like, you don't want it to be nice to live in Portland and not nice to live elsewhere. You want a node that accommodates every different types of lifestyle. And we need all those pieces to be cool places in its own way, whether it's Salem or Gresham or Beaverton or Hillsborough or Vancouver.
Right.
So I think more of these cool nodes we have, the better the whole region is.
Right, right.
And I'm excited about those types of things.
Good, good. Well, I applaud you for all the work you've done. It's great to hear. And again, if you want to know more about Roy and his company, you can see the website below. Thanks for taking the time to kind of shine a little light about your history and kind of what you're doing and your vision. And again, thank you for all the work you've done in the area. It's your developments are great, and so we just hope that this public-private partnership gets stronger and stronger, and we'll go from there. So thanks again.
Great. No, thank you for having me.
Great. Okay, and we'll see you again next time on HFO-TV. Thank you.
Our entire office specializes in multifamily real estate, making HFO the largest multifamily brokerage in the Pacific Northwest. Your success is our passion. Build your legacy with HFO. Call 503-241-5541 or visit our website at hfore.com for more information.